It's better on this one than on that one.
My husband and then my mother and the rest of the family. It's a very nice place. And even this time, of course she could have my parents don't have it, but he really told it might be a good idea. And then
Ja, das tut mir leid, ich habe heute ganz schlechte Verbindung. I'm sorry, the connection is
The
okay.
connection is not good.
because you're so it was the work of my life. Now I can see he's when he's sitting there, what do I do?
Yes.
It was the marriage of Christ.
Das mal.
Yeah.
Hallo.
It's icing.
Icing.
Yeah, like, I mean,
Quite sugary.
yeah.
Okay, this one is great.
Ah, maybe it's made from, might be made from almonds.
If you need coffee or tea, take it now. Oh, you did already, yeah.
Yeah, we did already. And
Yeah.
we need, someone's asking me to coffee beans.
Singing.
Sorry?
Micah,
Someone's asking
chapter 6, the end of chapter 6.
And what does
I
that
already
say?
took them out of the
Ich rufe euch heute
cupboard.
Abend.
Did you tell someone?
No, I met someone, that's why I thought when you maybe see someone or anybody else in someone because they want to do it.
But they don't know, they have to know downstairs.
Okay, then
Yeah, do that.
No, I can do it.
Okay, yeah, please.
Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen.
Ich mach einmal rot, damit ihr alle seht, ja?
Hallo. Get a coffee, I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
No, I need to go to the bathroom.
I'll tell you afterwards. I'm here with you all day. I'll tell you.
That's true.
So I don't want to hold you back.
No, and I just
My
can't be late
Of course not. Of course not.
today.
None of
That's
us should.
what Ulrike recommended.
Yes.
Ja, das ist schön. Du, dann hören wir jetzt mal auf, weil, genau.
Okay,
Ich melde mich
das
dann
mal
noch, heute Abend nochmal, ja? Nein?
Hello, good morning.
So, tschüss, meine Kinder. Tschüss, ihr Lieben. Tschüss. Ja, also Entschuldigung, aber I didn't have connection outside.
Good, wir lieben es. Don't worry, we love it. We love to hear their voices. Everything fun.
Let him stay for the lecture too.
No.
It's very interesting.
Yes, especially for children.
For him, yeah. This is scholarship, isn't it?
No, I'm sorry, but I tried. And outside there was no connection.
Are they introducing themselves? Because there was some, odd situation yesterday with Michael Rosen because he
No one
expected me
introduced
to
him?
introduce. But I was not given advice. Yeah, hey.
Yeah, Michael
so-
has a unique character.
Yes.
And
I
you
mean,
don't
exactly.
expect
He looked
that.
at me. He looked at me like this, and then I didn't prepare anything. So I just said, "Well, today we welcome Michael Rosen. His name was mentioned several times already yesterday. Michael, you have the floor."
Well, actually, what
Amazing.
happened in the end of the workshop is that Michael wanted to go back to Tel Aviv ASAP because he's Tel Aviv are hosting him too, and he has a lecture and so on and so forth. So we didn't took him to dinner like it should be.
Gosh, I need to rush. Sorry.
But we didn't.
Start.
So then he ends the lecture and you went for the tour, and he's like, "Can I have a beer? Isn't it proper for people that end their lecture to have some beer?" And Michal looks at me, and Dave, find him a beer. And I took his hand. We walked around the campus, seeking for beer.
And
Eventually we find.
where did you find it?
In the Ivrit.
What?
By Ivrit.
But I heard him say, you say, oh, we're going to get you a nice beer, and he will say, I don't want a nice beer, I can go with any beer.
Yeah, no, but it was a genuine urge. I'm not
No, I just
disregarding it.
I actually think that's something that they can improve. That for Inbiela feels they can improve.
You will find beer there.
Good.
Beers on the table.
You can just pop up to people and ask them if they will have it. Why have low?
Actually, I'm changing. I was worried of you. don't feel offended.
You know, vegetarian kitchen,
It's very hard because they use additives that are not kosher, like oil that has animal fat in it or something like that. So it's very difficult to do it. But I'll tell you what I found out yesterday. I did a bit of homework. I want to show you. Look at this.
my wife and I were thinking about inviting you over to dinner. And I thought maybe because we have no meat, because she's a vegetarian, we will make it somehow very like
I'd love
kosher
that.
or something like that.
That would be lovely. I'm sure we
You
can.
don't have to feel like when you think it's not like kosher or that we have to try it. And we have to refrigerate it, so
That doesn't matter. That doesn't. Refrigerator doesn't matter.
only on oven, but might not be the problem.
What the
Only on the oven, but we don't
Only
have to
on
take oven.
oven? Yeah.
But we don't have to take this. We can prepare something on the stove. As we do no meat, I think we have to bother.
It just is the problem only is if you have a vegetarian kitchen, the problem is if you have, for instance, oils. Many of the oils have vegetable fat in it.
So you heat only like use the oil with a pan or something already. So it's not only by new oil.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's put it back. I'd love to meet your wife.
We have a totally new set for pages. So I told her not to touch it.
It's so sweet of you, so nice of you. But I also,
I would really like to make it. So
that would be lovely. That's very nice.
but that's not
That would be very nice. I'd love to meet your wife. So I found out yesterday, Bauerbrot and Wasserbrotchen. Is that the way you pronounce it? How do you pronounce
Yes,
it?
Brötchen. That's fine. But that doesn't exist, Wasserbrötchen.
No, it must be a special kind of
Morning rolls.
There
Yeah.
are like hundreds of morning rolls.
Yeah.
So it has yeah.
This
but
is what they call the
You probably that aims. I have a feeling for like white bread,
plain
Like-
bread. Nothing added.
But
like a
every
white bread,
bakery
like a
has such
baguette.
flour. Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah.
like a
baguette.
Yes,
So there are morning rolls which are just like baguette.
that's what they mean.
So that's probably it.
And what's Bauernbrot? That's
Except like
farmhouse.
it's rye.
But
It's
it
not
also has
wheat rye. No,
nothing
no.
added. So these two breads and these, if I can get these,
What bread do you eat in general? So I can figure out what's
with no added any bread, but it has to have none. The problem is that sometimes with good bread they have additives. And the additives are not kosher. This is the problem. The additives.
we have a very famous supermarket in the which is a bio and I think that I don't have any additives. It's supposed to be you only get this brand new 8
So that I looked on. I asked around, and
They have all kinds of bread.
Yeah, usually German bread doesn't have any additions, unless you go for, yeah, it's just, yeah.
yeah, they said only the bread. I did a bit of research yesterday.
Yeah.
Any bread that it isn't, not the bread that's in packets, because that bread has preservatives.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And the preservatives, but any fresh bakery that
Yeah.
has like baguette.
Yeah.
I think that's what they mean by
But
it.
there are several thousand of other breads without additives too. So if it's only because of the additives, you can probably
Yes.
eat German bread.
It's good to, yeah. They were, when I looked into it,
Go to
First,
yeah.
take her to the doctor tomorrow. I don't know.
They even have little cards sometimes saying what's in it. It's just that they use
Fever and
different sorts of grains.
Yeah.
So it's wheat, white, but there are a lot of other grains they would use to make the
Fantastic,
bread.
very good. So this is.
I just think.
But once I found this out, and also it sounds that it's, they said they said that in Italy it's more difficult, but it seems in Germany, like you said, there is bread. Yeah. So this is they said just not the packaged breads with I think I'll.
That is a good idea. And actually, I already went to speak to Iris.
Fantastic.
Also there is a sort of supermarket, how you would call it, A bakery within 10 minutes or more. I think the bakery. The bakery.
Share my. Good morning.
Hi.
Do
you know this guy? Yeah. No, this is your place now.
Okay, so you're the master. You haven't changed the pictures yet.
Usually I work for him, but today he works for me.
Shall I start?
3 minutes.
What happened in 3 minutes?
I'm telling who is this guy.
That's the eulogy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good morning. I'm sure that in the coming 5 minutes there will be some of the Israelis that are usually more later than the other will show up. As I promised, Omer, Tami, come on. Okay. And this is just to put everything in perspective. We are in the second part of the second week of the phase 1 of our academia. I must say, and it's important that Menachem will hear about it, that it's a unique. You know, I'm here 3.5 years, but I never had such an experience, such intense and intimate experience with any group that came really to do something that is so special, which is really to learn, to exchange, to communicate, and to come with really some new ideas. Yeah. This is Christmas time.
No, I thought that it's kind of a sweet that I would share it with you because I'm
sure.
very careful about my calories.
Yeah, give me this and okay. So we are really pleased to have Menachem Ben Sasson, the president of the Hebrew University, with us to share with us his experience in terms of Constitution is the lack of constitution, the effort and so on. I think they heard quite issues related to this issue throughout these 2 weeks. Maybe the most direct one, I'm not sure, but Barak was with them, as you know.
It will come in a second.
Yeah, and it will come back. And so there is those internal cycles that are building up throughout these 2 weeks. And I just want to mention one, and thank you really. I know your time limitation, and we are very happy that you are here. I just want to mention something that, not administrative, but because we opened the day, there is an event that is after lunch that you decided to have, which is half an hour discussing what will be phase 3, namely how you can continue doing something together. And I'm saying it loud and clear because maybe we'll have to come and ask for some support. But before coming to this point, I just want to make sure that it was very, very touching to hear independently from different people in the group saying how can we empower it and take it to the next phase, maybe by writing, maybe by meeting, maybe in Europe, maybe in the US, never mind. But we really want to keep this alive and kicking. And it was very touching because it was not part of the plan. So phase 3 is coming. And this is the end of phase 2, phase 1. Phase 2 will be in Zif, Bielefeld, in the summer. So thank you, and thank you, Menachem.
I thank you for having me. I'm going to share with you a few very personal memoirs that I have. It's not very typical that the president of the university is asked to help with the program of a seminar, but I had some contacts from my previous life, so I used it in order to make your seminar more enriched. And I fooled myself. Michal remembers it that I could participate in the lectures as one of the members of the group. However,
it was not accepted though.
It wasn't easy to be accepted to this meeting or to today's meeting. I had to fight for that, but at the end I convinced the organizers that I can get into it. And I thought that it will be like a revival of a period of my life. And I must confess again, I stop apologize,
that it was a great experience. I never dreamt of having it. In a second I say why. I hope to avoid using the I anymore. I used it already almost 10 times. From now on, objective things will be said. In the heart of the matter is going to be the meeting point between the three that I defined as the following: the overriding, the Charter of Rights, and the dignity of the human being. So do not leave before you get to the point, and it won't be before maybe 20 minutes. The meeting point is very important from many points of view, and according to the programs that you have, I realize that you already touched upon it in many other phases, but in this case it won't be an analysis. I'm humble, last one, and the field of specialty of the present speaker is 7th to 14th century Muslim and Jewish relations. So the one who speaks knows nothing before the 7th century, nothing after the 14th century. In between something maybe is known, but nothing more than that. It so happens that being in Germany in LMU, coming to visit Israel in January 15, 2006, a telephone call is accepted saying the following: the substitute prime minister, who's nowadays sitting in a jail, cannot get you before Wednesday next week, and it will be 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, it's fine, but there is no reason that this time there is a meeting between Ehud Olmert and the self-speaking. I mean, why should? There is a surprise that is made to my son, who's finishing his officer's course. He doesn't know that anybody comes. Person stays in Germany, teaching in LMU. How comes it he comes? So that was the surprise. But prime ministers know how people come. They've got their own services. And it's a mistake. No meeting was asked for. There is no reason that the previous mayor of Jerusalem, whom we had very good relations, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and this person, but nothing was asked for. You remember that on the 14th of January, that was the last phase that Prime Minister Sharon was still with us. Later on, he was running into his last demise. It took a few years until he disappeared. But that was the date, 14th of January. So it didn't take 10 minutes after the confused answer that another telephone call came and said, no, it's the other way around. It's the Prime Minister that wants to talk to you. Fine. Why are you free? When are you free? Sunday morning, 7 o'clock will be okay. Yes, it will be okay. What is the topic? He'll talk to you. So now there is a debate between my wife and myself. She is a daughter of a politician, 2 generations of politicians, and she said he wants you in his list to the parliament. So there is no way that he wants me. I mean, he knows, but he doesn't. It's not going to be. But if that's, and so why is he asking? Why did he ask for you? I said there is one person in his list, in his party, that is a student of mine at Hebrew University, writes his PhD 10th century Jews and Islam, Jews and Muslims, and you know he's nowadays the Minister of Absorption, Minister of Jerusalem, member of the cabinet, Zev Elkin. The Israelis know the name. So he was at that time moderate enough to come to Kadima, and I said he wants to get my opinion on my student. So I will, and what will you say? I said he still owes me a chapter for his PhD, which is fine. I mean, it's up to yesterday because we met. I told him, Zev, again, one chapter is between you and the doctorate, and who knows, maybe they kick you out of the parliament. So you need a title. Doctor is still a nice one of the Hebrew University. Legal analysis and philosophy of the 10th century, Arabic texts, and as the usual, my wife was right. After 15 minutes of talk to Ehud, he said, it's time for you to work. The answer was, it's time for you to work. I said, you never dreamt of being in such a short, very, very easy way the Prime Minister? He said, no, I would like you to be a member of our list. I'll give you the 20th seat. At that time, the polls said 45 seats to the party. And I said, there are 3 reasons that the answer is no, but honoring Prime Minister, even if he is a substitute Prime Minister, it will take me a week until I'll get back to you. I'll call you from Germany when I go back. Why is the no? I said, first I promised my late father-in-law, who, as I told you, was many years in politics, so the answer is, I never deal with politics. University politics is different. It's not different, but it's different. Second, I said, I despise this place. I used to be the rector of the university, and these are the years that we worked together for the benefit of the university and the city of Jerusalem. I said, I despise this place, the Knesset. Disgusted. Anytime I come, they spit on me and they kick me. They know better than anybody else, and they know nothing. I'm not going to be here. Thirdly, I want to go back to the university, and there is no way that a person can go back to the university with such a stain of being in the Knesset. No, politician is just a title. Being a member of the parliament, it's a stain that you cannot carry on in your life. And I was mistaken in all 3 of them, I must admit. It doesn't really matter what was his answer on A, B, and C. It doesn't really matter. I went out of the meeting. I called up my brother-in-law, who used to be the Speaker of the House years ago. Menachem, what did he want to? I said, he want me to participate. And what did you answer? I said, no. He said, you are right, 100% right. You don't have to go. As I said, he was the Speaker of the House. Okay, I said, I'm not going, but still, why don't I have to go? He said, because I despise those who come from the academy, not like yourselves, in many conditions, and then when they do not get what they wanted, they leave after 10 minutes, or when they do not cooperate and they don't know how to live in the parliament, they leave after 10 minutes. So it's good. You do the right thing. Go back to Germany to teach, go to the officers' course, everything will be okay. Call up my wife, a student of the university, a doctor, physician, MBA, MPH, friend of mine from the age of 10. I told you that some personal details will be revealed. And she said, look, it's fine. I mean, if you said no. But from now on, you're not allowed to know. Now, if you are Israeli, you Israelis, you know that it's just not on putting you in the corner, but actually at the head of the steep fall, causing you your life almost. From now on, you are not allowed to have any criticism against the parliament, any criticism against the government, because you had an opportunity. Don't say that they do not do it properly. You could do it. Maybe you could do it differently. In another way, there is a chance in your life. You do not have to go to weddings or to birth parties or to funerals. Somebody gives you on silver platter the opportunity of being a legislator. Maybe you could do something. Calling up my daughter, she worked in the Knesset for a few years as a researcher. She said, Abba, you should go. You never had in your life such plenty of time to finish the 2 books that you work on as a member of the Knesset. So I thought to myself, look, there is a safety net of my daughter. There is a mission of my wife. There is maybe something that one can do. It didn't take me an hour of these 3. See how stubborn is the person who talks to you. And I'm calling back Olmert. I said, I told you no. I think that the answer will be yes. Let's talk about let's talk. We call it in Hebrew. I don't know. It's a Yiddish German word, the Knedlach. Whenever you have a soup and you have a content, the matzah ball. Yes. So you wait for the soup for a while. Then the soup comes with the matzah ball. So the matzah ball is the permanent part of it, not necessarily the soup. So I said, let's talk about the matzah ball. When I said tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, he said today, 7 o'clock. Why? So I said tomorrow I have to go down to the bases, the south part of Israel. I want to conclude this issue before I leave to Germany. 6 o'clock he comes. So what do you ask for? I said, I know that I do not want, there is no chance that I'm a minister in the cabinet, but I do not want to be a vice minister. It's nothing. I don't know how it is in Germany, in other countries. Actually, I know. It's nothing everywhere. So what would you like to be? I would like to be the chairman of the Committee on Education. That's the part that some experience was gathered in the 4 years of rector service. That's what one can do. Okay, nothing I can promise, said Omelt, but it's very reasonable in my eyes. I go down. I call up the president of the university at that time, another Menachem. I call up the rector of the university, Maydin. I said, look, in 2 weeks the message will come that I'm participating in the elections. I would like to get a leave of absence. It's allowed according to the law. Keep it in mind. Being a rector, I legislated that you cannot get more than 4 years. And if you want to get an extension, you do not get more than 5 years leave of absence. So here I face my legislation at the university not enabling me to serve more than 2 times. But in Israel there is no chance that you serve for 4 years. Even if you behave well, 1/3 is cut. So the Committee on Mercy gave me an option of leaving after 3 years and a half. And in a second comes the real part of it. After 2 weeks the message came. And then I never got in my life, and as you know, now I serve for 6 years as president of the university, so many emails from members of the faculty as I got at that time. I get many. Demonstrating on one issue and another one, we stop the cold water or the hot waters, and the students say you get 200 mails, and then whenever you said some things that seem to be insulting members of the staff, you get 250 mails with the finger, yes, you should behave. So one should behave. Next time I won't do it. That's the type of the thing. And the message was clear, and that's the message of this university. Everybody was happy, proud, that this invitation to political life was positively accepted. I think that even Nati wrote to me at that time. It was unbelievable.
He knows how to behave.
Yes. I thought to myself at that time, it's not that people wanted me out. Mm-hmm. Yes, they wanted me out. But who cares about medievalists? I mean, nothing could be harmed. The real issue was that this university, and now I can testify for it, this university thinks that service on public arena is an expected mission of a member of the staff.
That's true.
And trust me, many times members of the staff were asked and served and have been serving. And now I can see for the future I'm not a prophet, will be serving. It's in the DNA of this university. It was established, it opened its gate 91 years ago, and it's an elite university. Those who accepted are few. Every time the school year starts, classroom of 150, medieval history 101, good morning to the class, I want to tell you, look around, you sit with the best of the students. How do you know? How do I know? Because whenever you look at the mirror, you know who you are. But look around, the same of you sit next to you. But that's lesson number 1. All along the year, the message comes, and they see the professors, and they see and we encourage students to demonstrate. Unlike other universities in Israel, they do not want in the campus any demonstrations. We want them to demonstrate. Right and left, it doesn't really matter. Feeling of servitude is part of the game. So that's why whenever a wife says to her husband, she's an alumni of this institute, and he's an alumni of this institute, you should serve, one goes to serve. Those of you who know what Zionism is, it's a title nowadays. From some it's even a blasphemy. I mean, you're naive, you think high of the state of Israel, it's fine. Some of us were educated in youth movements, we served in the army, we served extra service, We gave you years for volunteering. You do not have any place per capita volunteers as in Israel. It's around 3.5 million people volunteer. Jews, Arabs, Christians, the inner of this society. Without volunteering, we are doomed to be maybe an inferior country. And in this case, the elections are over. Back from Germany, on the way through India, because there was a conference in Indian studies and Jews and Muslims. Nobody wants me to help in the elections. They know the work better. It's a television time, so it's fine. Once I went to a meeting of students. The hall was of, I have to estimate, I think of 300 seats. Getting there were 12 journalists. No participant at the beginning of the presentation. 3 came later. You see? So there we are. So just start building the government. In 3 weeks, there is the head of the Committee on Education. Not feeling insulted, but I'm on my way to fulfill the message of my brother-in-law to leave the parliament. Know that it is a problem. Maybe my daughter's safety net will be okay. I'll write a book on the history of the Jews and Muslims in the Middle Ages. So, as I told you, nothing will be a disaster. And then there is a fight. Now it's documented in one of the books. I didn't know anything about it. Between two who wanted very much to be the chairs of these committees that I was given. I didn't know the importance of it. Admittedly, I came to deal with education. I'm asked by the Prime Minister to come and talk to him. You are going to be the chairman of the Committee on Constitution, Law and Justice. Now I know that out of the 5,000 bills put on the table of the Knesset, abnormality of Israelis, you do not have it in any other place of the world. 5,000 bills in any given moment. No. At the beginning after the elections, the first week it's only 3,000 or something like that. But later on, it comes down to 5,000. How comes it? Because everybody wants to be the prime minister. You do not have any options. So the abnormality comes out of will to legislate. Go to Germany, to the Bundestag, maybe private laws, maybe 50 in a given moment. In a second, the story will come, experience in the Bundestag and in Washington. And why am I supposed to do it? Because the rule is that the head of this committee has to be from the party that won the elections. If you want to do some new laws about elections, it goes through this party. Most of the legislation is done by this committee, which is fine. So 5,000 bills. In 3.5 years, around 350 articles of law were written in the committee by the chair, because members of the Knesset write it, but then you change it, you moderate, you write the last version of it, you present it in the House in order to vote on it, at least 2 votes, maybe from time to time more than 2 votes. If you fail, you go down and you have another option to vote on it. 350 articles of law were written in the 17th Knesset. Some of them are very good, I may say. Not necessarily all of them. So I saying 5 minutes ago that I came to the Knesset a Zionist, volunteering person. I left the Knesset 10 times more Zionist than I entered to it. It was a process of 3.5 years of education. I was 3 times mistaken when I said no to Ehud Olmert. But sure enough, at that time, almost 60 years old, a little bit less, but almost 60 years, some experience one has. I went back to Aaron Barak, who was a professor of law with us, and I said, Aaron, they want me to be the chairman of the Committee on Law and Justice. He was then still the Supreme Court Chief Justice, and I said, take it in 2 hands. Said, but the last paper that I wrote is over the 10th century book in Arabic for the Jews, how to interrogate witnesses. That's the only things that, and few bylaws that were written in the constitution of the university 10 years ago. He said, no. Lawyers, excuse me, you'll have hundreds.
Not part of them, not all.
Not
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
No, he didn't say anything against lawyers. He said lawyers, no, you know the joke, yes. It's not right that 95% of the lawyers, and all lawyers are wicked. It's only 95%. It's not the case. The story is, he told me, lawyers, you'll have as many as you want. You have to be the one with open mind. He said open head, it doesn't matter, the same. Try to understand. Try to find your way in between. And that was the experience. Last sentence about the experience before getting to the 20 minutes that I promised to go to the point. Why was I so excited when I finished my service? Why was it so educational after these years? You are exposed to the best of the society. Around your table sit, in the best time, maybe 6 members of the House. The committee is 16 to 17, depends how you count it. They are very busy because each member of the Knesset, the abnormality of Israel, has got at least 4 other committees that she has to, or he has to sit, and they go. Maybe in between you do not have to go to any of them. And I was taken 2 times to the disciplinary committee of the Knesset, and one of them was because I maintained the meetings on Sunday and Thursday. These days were supposed to be the days of the contact with the constituency of the members of the House, and I continued working at that time. In a second you'll know why. So, around the table, you see hardly the members of the committee. 3 were very, very diligent. They work all along with the committee. But around the table, you see the best of civil society. And now, those of you who come from Germany, since I spent plenty of time in the Bundestag, and then in the constitutional court in Karlsruhe. So in Karlsruhe you cannot see it, but in the Landes you can also see it. You do not see the best of the society around the table. You see the best of lawyers, just finished university. They work in NGO A. The other, she works in NGO B. NGO A is the opposite of NGO B. They sat in the same classroom. They know how to present it. They are fully adapted to the new NGOs as they work. Ministry A, B, C, D sit around the table in order to follow up the legislative process. In this minister, not the minister sits, nor the head of the legal advisors sit. A legal advisor number 3 or 4. She finished your faculty of law 4 years ago. In the other ministry, he finished your school of social work 10 years ago. All around, it's not other universities also. But what you see around the table is the heart of a very healthy civil society. People fight for or against, know the basics, know how to claim, involved in what they have to be involved, and they taught me, trust me, they taught me how to take the bylaws on putting in fire tires of cars. Yes, for example, part of the laws, that's the most far away from basic laws that I know of, how to take this, putting in fire the used tires, back to the basic law of community, to understand what is the basic of writing such a law. How to? They taught me. I can tell you, but it doesn't really matter. It depends. You can take it to the Charter of Rights. Charter of Right, number 2, neighbors. Number 3, using or not using your property in order to use it properly or improperly. Who's the owner of the public place? So these are the questions that they taught me how to legislate. Whenever you go back to basic laws, you understand much more what's the real meaning of the laws that you make? It's only about putting in fire, you use tires. So that's one of them. The other things that I studied, I never made a law, 750, yes, were written at that time. I never made a law without having an opposite opinion. So you came and you said you are for. Who's for? All of you around this table. Fine, I cannot make it. You must have another opinion. Otherwise, you do not know how to balance. There is no way that there is a law that you do not have an opposite point of view. It could be sex harassment. It could be thieves. You know, thieves have lives. You know better than I. They suffer from starvation. So he stole a bagel. He used only the bagel. The whole he gave back, maybe. So in this case, what you want to decipher is what behind. There were 3 organizations who were involved in writing drafts of constitutions to the State of Israel, and I decided when I was given this mission by the Prime Minister that the one thing that I want to do is, what did I ask for? To write an Israeli constitution. And you know that the first step in Israeli democracy was to vote for a constitutional assembly. And Ben-Gurion caught it, captivated it to be the parliament. So, and then came Mr. Harari and he said, don't hurry, you're going to have it in the basic laws. So all of that, even I knew before I started. So I wanted to write a constitution. Why not? There are drafts number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. I think that there are around, not full constitution, around 30 different versions, but if you've got a specialist. There was times that I knew the accurate number. At the same meeting with Aaron Barak, he told me the following: Menachem, you do not have to write a constitution. Forget about it, it's very complicated. You write one law. This is the heart of the constitution. And if you write this law, believe me, you organize the life of the State of Israel for many years. Everybody will thank you. I didn't come for thanks. I came to work. And what is the law? No? You are. What is it?
Human dignity.
Human dignity was written in 92. I don't have to rewrite it. What is the law that you have to write? He thought that human dignity is everything. But what is the law that he wanted me to write? And I refused. First of all, the fact, it's not written yet. But a lot of pressure was put on these shoulders for the 3 years and I have to write it. It's Aaron.
Yeah, religion.
No, no religion. Think of a law that maybe fakely, maybe imaginary, is a combination of all what you want to organize your life around in one law.
Human rights.
A what?
Human rights.
Human rights? No. I mean, I'm going to talk about it. Human rights is one of 42 articles in the chapter of Charter of Rights. One of them. Something as which one?
Freedom.
No, freedom is not. Is one of the 40. He said, look, you have one, and you've got a constitution in a nutshell. The overriding is said. Judiciary, yes. If that's what you wanted to say, it's fine.
That's everything.
Yes, he said, take the judiciary legislation. I mean that whatever the parliament decides, the judiciary can override, and there you are. Or if you do not want, take the override of the parliament, but make it, I can't remember now, he'll tell you. Maybe he told me 75 to vote or 85 to vote, something that nobody heard of. Later on we found that in order to fire the president of the state, we could do it, but we never did it in the parliament because we didn't have enough votes to fire him. He said, take the overriding, the judiciary authority of the Supreme Court, and then go back to the parliament, and that's the balance you heard from Aaron when he talked to you. And everything is done after. The second one, after maybe a month, was Chaim Ramon, who was the Minister of Justice at that time. He said, Menachem, I heard that I want to talk to you. I have the same opinion. I want you to legislate the judiciary authority of the Supreme Court, and then the overriding of the Parliament according to the Canadian method. If you want me to go to it, I think that you know better than I all of these. What are the rules? And I said, in the first semester of the Knesset, I'm not going to deal with the Constitution. Said, why? Said, because I want people to know that I know the job of running this committee. And I can do other things. The first law that I made was, and the late Aaron Michel Cheshin never forgave me. It was on the ethics of laws, of justices. The ethics of justices, that one can sue a justice if he chew gum in the street or eat ice cream in the that's not the case, but if a justice hasn't behaved properly. I mean, there were ethical rules, but I made it into a law. Why did I do it? It was in coordination with Aaron Barak. Why Cheshin didn't like it? Because of other reasons, but maybe also because he thought that ethics is more important than just putting it in strict legislation. It was an easy legislation, 3 or 4 lines of a law. The second one that I made with Zahava Galon, and I was very proud of it, was trafficking of human beings, or slavery, modern slavery, if I may say. At that time, we even had to redefine this. What's the modern slavery? Now it comes to the heart of human dignity. At that time, working on this issue was the first exposure to the real meaning of human dignity. That if you do not have a dignity, what's the human? Or what's the meaning of human freedom if it is sold by somebody who holds your passport and enslaves you as a worker? You cannot have a sleep, you cannot have a vacation. It's one aspect, you know better. Again, this law gave us an opportunity to get special recognition for the United States government, because Israel was very bad in this recognizing of workers, prostitutes who are smuggled from other borders, and slavery. Nowadays, women from the Ukraine, Chinese workers, one can go one after the other, the same diseases that you have in other places in the world. So until I know that I've got my committee in my hands, there is no way that I start working on the Constitution. Second semester, first meeting, we started working on the Constitution. And for 3 years, all Sundays, all Thursdays, nowadays just President Rivlin remembers, he would come to these meetings every time. Personal experience, nobody else from his party came. Gideon Saar was the whip of the party in my committee, never came to these meetings. Whenever we dealt with the Constitution, he never came. In a second you'll see how profound was it. Michael Eitan, who worked hard in the previous Knesset 16, on the committee on Constitution, and I used his drafts, never came to the meetings. I called up both of them and I said, I'm also a teacher. What happened? Gideon Saar, let me say it won't work. We'll talk about it next time. And here came the answer. And now it's cited here in one of the books following the process of Constitution in these years. He said, Menachem will never give Kadima the honor of writing the Constitution of the State of Israel. You know, you won't have it. It's our share. When we come back to be the prime ministers or the ministers of law, he thought that he'll be minister of justice. In other governments, there were a small minority in the parliament, good minority. There is no way that will participate with you. So the only one who came was the president, Reuven Rivlin. that was the message that I got from the other party, Likud, at that time, that it's very important that we have a constitution, but you are not going to be the one who writes it. And we started with the definition of the State of Israel, with the status of the Arabic language and the status of the Hebrew language, with the recognition of the rights of minorities in the introduction to the Constitution. Usually, Constitution has to do with the individual. We put it in the entrance, at the beginning of it, in order to make sure that minorities that are going to be maybe worried about chapter of the Charter of Rights may be threatened. So in this case, you are safe and sound. Another meetings that I had with Aaron Barak, many meetings, but another one that had to do with the Constitution is, okay, you are not going to write the judiciary part. Why won't you write the whole Charter of Rights? Then that's it. You know, who wrote the whole Charter of Rights? Charter of Rights as a constitution, not for one state, but for many countries.
United Nations.
It was in Europe.
United Nations.
No, United Nations wrote the Charter of Rights, but as a legislative process. It was President Herzog of Germany who worked on it with Europe. And nowadays you've got in Luxembourg a court, European one. So you can take England to court, you can talk to France to court, but the one who made it still living with us. Lucent, nice looking also. A former German president, Herzog. You go back to Germany, try to meet with him, to take the experience that he had in Charter of Rights. I spent with him almost a week in order to learn my lesson. So there is a pressure now by the Minister of Justice, who was fired after 2 months. Sex harassment was the case. And then another one came, a professor of law, very distinguished Professor Danny Friedman, and he put the same pressure. You should, he's a professor, he knows how to speak harshly. You should write the judiciary part with an overriding modest clause. And the answer was no, there is no way that we write it whenever we do not have a Charter of Rights. Why? And that's the meeting point. So assume that you have an option of writing this one. What are the other parts of the Charter of Rights? What about freedom of speech? What about freedom of religion? What about freedom from religion? What about movement? Nowadays it became an issue. 15 years ago it wasn't an issue. Everybody had a place, people didn't move from one place to another. Nowadays it's a crucial issue. So the German Prime Minister, she's now suffering, maybe last election last week, you were here, you didn't have to vote. People took a revenge. Another part of it. You want to protect workers, certain level of income. It's part of the Charter of Rights. So we had 42 different clauses. You can read it in the Knesset site, the draft of the constitutions that we wrote. 15 chapters, 220, I think, articles, and among them the Charter of Rights. And we worked on the Charter of Rights. So now comes the issue. If you say the dignity is enough, then it's like a pyramid that stands on its top. Everything could be added to it. No limits. You can say that income of $20,000 a month, it's dignity. And you can say that $1 income a month is a dignity. You can say that sending one family member in a freedom of move or is a dignity, or no, you can say that 2,020 people from the same family is the dignity of humankind. It's given to the analysis of the justice. And I wanted to follow I admit, the German generous constitution, you know, if you don't know, you can take it, get it in Karlsruhe. I didn't bring it. It's a small pocket book, this size, relatively heavy, and it goes to this, exactly the same. That's the one I have.
Really?
You know, trust me, I don't know it by heart. But Grundrechts and everything, yeah?
Yeah, I used to work there. There's a giveaway, so.
No, and I used to give it away also.
Is that useful?
Very useful, in my point of view.
No. Okay, yeah.
Can I get it?
Because the letters are so small.
The book itself. Yes.
Menachem, on this position, we think it's Tehillim, so be aware that it looks like Tehillim.
Like sounds.
That's true.
Like
No, that's
little
true.
sounds, the way people.
So if I take a
The book,
picture,
I opened the chapter fins.
The Bible. Like a little Bible that people read.
So it's chapter 5, the
Bible.
the Bundespresident, and here you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think that I've got more detailed one. Is it the whole constitution?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's the letters are so little. This is how they get it all in.
Have a look at the last page. There's like 100.
Okay, so that's the one.
49,
I took it as an example. Why? Because in the recent, now it's 35 years, some 25 and more constitutions were written over the world. Some of them are good, some of them are impossible. The one of Germany answers the need of the Israeli society. Why? Because there are minorities that are very concerned about the power of the house. And there are those who are very much concerned about the power of the Supreme Court. But if everything is accepted upon, and if you can go ahead with the constitutions as was drafted, you do not have to obey to the Minister of Justice who put pressure on you, the same party of the Prime Minister. Very important person, professor of law. But if you are a humble professor of Middle Ages, you have got a perspective of 1,000 years, and you know that you can wait. So the refusal of not writing the overriding article of judiciary is one. The issue of not writing only the chapter of Charter of Rights is another issue. We finished our term after 3 years. As I told you, 15 chapters of the Constitution were written, around 250 articles, and we were about to vote on it in January of 2009. That was the 60th birthday of the Parliament, of the Knesset. We were about to give the State of Israel a present, a constitution. Not all of the articles were agreed upon. Religious parts were not agreed upon. Marriages was not agreed upon. Civil rights of minorities were not agreed upon. So what was my idea? Excuse me because I had another experience. In these years, you can bring a law in black and white. You say, freedom right or no way of freedom of rights. Yes and no. And you vote. Those who don't want, vote with you. Those who want, vote with you. And then time comes and you come to an agreement around the table. Most of the Charter of Rights was accepted upon. Most of it. As I said, only the issue of freedom from religion was an issue, and the question of basic income. In that case, the government didn't like what we worked on, which is okay. But if we did it, and I fooled myself that we could do it, if we did it, the Likud would vote with us because they could not argue. I mean, after coming to an agreement on most of the chapters, most of the articles, and even the far left and the far right would vote because everybody hopes that within a given time the will go to his or her own side. But what would have happened, as a historian you never ask it, but as a politician you may. What would have happened if we voted on 240 with major consent and 10 black and white? The whole mood of the Supreme Court would have been changed. You do not have to put everything when it comes to income, when it comes to move, when it comes to speech, when it comes to tortures. You do not have to imagine everything on the dignitary of the humankind. No. You've got already a draft after phase 1, going to phase 2, going to phase 3, maybe to a referendum, maybe to a fourth vote of the parliament. It doesn't really matter how. I thought that we have to do it in a referendum. But in this case, we could have had at least something. We worked hard behind the screen, bless you. We have worked hard around behind the screen. We had parallel meetings with the ultra-Orthodox and the Arabs, minority of the Knesset. Why? Because after a year that we worked diligently on this matter, Mondays and Thursdays, I mean, the disciplinary committee of the Knesset gave us a permission to work in these 2 days. People were at least fooled. Nowadays we see that it was fooled. That this committee is going to write a constitution. It sees itself as a judiciary assembly, like the way that Professor Harari saw us years ago in the 50s, that we are going to bring a constitution. 3 different Arab constitutions were written. You can say that none of them could be accepted. But that was the message, that we are going to be very serious. Another parallel one was written by a Zionist, religious Zionist institute in Israel. Another one by the Israeli Democracy Institute that was written beforehand, drafted beforehand, now was updated towards the process. We didn't have to reach to January. I want to conclude with 2 procedures that I prepared for. Twice we visited Germany. In the Bundestag we sat for hours with the members of the Judiciary Court in Karlsruhe, so that was in Karlsruhe, and then in Berlin we sat with the members of the Bundestag, just in order to see how do you bridge gaps between subgroups, how to reach to a consent between cleavages in the society, and the Israeli society has got symmetrical cleavages. If you go to the details of it, you see that it's the poverty, it's the periphery, it's the low income, it's the less educated people, so it's a real problem. And then we were supposed to have a 2 weeks meeting in the United States with the National Institute for Constitution in Philadelphia. And in that case, we were supposed to meet with the agencies. People do not know about it enough. There are 2 agencies in Washington that were heavily involved with the German ones to write these 20-something constitutions in the world. Non-American official, professionals in international law and constitutional law. And we were supposed to sit with them and to close some of the debatable parts of the Constitution. We didn't go to it because, as Gideon told me, Menachem, even though, we kept you do not go to a meeting in Washington whenever you have elections, you have to be re-elected. I said, it's not a luxury that I need. I'm leaving you anyhow, back to teach at the university. And so we didn't have this meeting, these 2 weeks in Washington, Philadelphia, and we were supposed to walk around in some of the institutes around the United States, but most of the professors and the agencies were supposed to come to us. And there are many other small stories behind the screen, how to come to a consent between the parties. With the ultra-Orthodox, at that time there was a rabbi named Eliashiv, so through Yossi Efrati, who was his gate guard, we had few meetings in order to come to an agreement. With Vinograd, a lawyer, as I said, with the Arab parties. I think I had around 15 meetings with Arabic dignitaries in the Galilee and in the center of Israel in order to talk about the future of the constitution. There are life behind it. At the end, we never legislated more the chapter of rights as an isolated part of it. Dignity of human being remained the basic foothold for any constitutional claim for the Supreme Court. We never legislated this article. I think it was originally number 169 in the draft of the constitutions that we wrote about judiciary power and the overriding process. And it comes again, again and again. What is the lesson? The lesson is that you never give a constitution in the hands of the historian. Otherwise, maybe we would have had some good pieces of Charter of Rights. I'll take 5 minutes of questions and then you are for yourself.
Questions, please.
Just I want to cash my promise. The meeting point between the Constitution and Charter of Rights, the article on override and human dignity. So that's the topic. And according to your idea, it was a testimony, not a lecture.
Questions? Can you present yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Yuli. I'm sorry for being late.
Yuli Novak. Yuli Novak.
Michal is my uncle, and also I'm the director of an organization named Breaking Silence.
And you talk.
Welcome.
Now I'm speaking, yeah. But I want to ask first, it is fascinating to hear about this process.
You in the short version. You have a long one of 350 pages.
I'll find the time to read it. But I want to ask you about today. If you look about actually two questions that I thought about. First of all, when we look at the current parliament and the current government, if you think, or what do you think about the possibility of these kind of processes to take place, even up now in the near future? And second, if we can imagine a situation where those processes or the constitutional process was you and or other parliaments were able to legislate it, whether we would be in a different place today.
One, I would recommend that this Knesset will not continue with the process of writing a constitution. You need more balance